to start out just by saying, I love you. I want you to take a moment and think about those 3 words and the weight that they bear. We use these words all the time. They're 8 simple letters, but when thrown together, they carry an unparalleled weight. This one phrase seems to encompass so many things that we struggle to express every single day. They comfort us, they make us feel happy, and they also make us feel safe. Unfortunately, these words can also be a last resort. On January 3rd of 2008, I received a phone call that consisted only of I love yous. At that moment, I did not feel comforted. I felt anything but safe. And this time, these familiar words were not being spoken out of joy, but out of immense despair. They held the impression that I would never be hearing them from this particular voice again. Something was terribly wrong. The voice on the other end of the phone was my father's, and he was telling me that he'd just been hit by an SUV on his motorcycle driving home from work. So today, 6 years later, I would intend to persuade each of you to take better precaution on the road and to always watch for motorcycles. All right, so it's very important to know that motorcycles are absolutely everywhere. This is an imminent need that needs a solution, that we notice where they are. According to the Insurance Information Institute, in 2012, there were approximately 8.5 million on the road. We may not always see them coming. Due to their small size, they're very easily hidden in blind spots. According to the survey, many of you answered that you make sure to watch for motorcycles when you hear them coming. Ironically, it's actually illegal in the United States to have a loud muffler, so most motorcycles you won't be hearing as loudly as you first assume. I have a clip that I'd like to show you, just to show how easily it is to miss a motorcycle.
How close does a motorcycle have to be before you see it? Here or here? At an intersection, look, look, then look again. Think, look twice for motorcyclists.
Luckily, there are steps that we can all proactively take to avoid these situations. So the following 10 tips are brought to you by the Motorcycle Safety Foundation. All right, first, over half of all motorcycle crashes involve another vehicle, and what we don't realize is that most of the time the car or truck driver is at fault, not the motorcyclist. 2, motorcycles can easily be hidden in a car's blind spot, as mentioned before, so please be sure to always double check. 3rd, always predict a motorcycle is closer than it seems. It's very hard to tell speeds from long distances. 4, motorcyclists often slow down by downshifting or rolling off of their throttle, so a brake light is not always immediately put on. 5, understand that motorcyclists switch lanes for a reason. Cars produce oil slicks in the middle of the lane, so that's why motorcycles ride on the outside or swerve in between very quickly, because that's basically an accident waiting to happen without any other cars. 6 is that their turn signals are not always self-canceling. When we turn on our blinker as we make a turn, it could shut off very easily without us even thinking about it again. But motorcyclists have to physically turn it off, so they may forget. So make sure that their signals are absolutely real. 7, despite their better maneuverability, motorcyclists cannot easily dodge out of the way. 8, bad conditions like the snow we've had this week make it a lot harder for motorcycles to stop than a car would. So if you see one in front of you and there's a stop sign or stoplight coming up, be sure to give plenty of room in between for them to brake. 9, when a motorcycle is in motion, make sure to see more than just the motorcycle. Don't think of it as some person just recklessly driving around. Think of it as, hey, that could be my neighbor, my relative, my friend, because there's certainly someone else's. And 10, if a driver crashes into a motorcyclist, odds are they probably will never forgive themselves. So even with all of these precautions, safety is never guaranteed. It may be a little gory, but I'd like to show you guys some pictures from my father's accident. So these were rods that he had inside of his leg. They were removed, and I brought them with me today just so you can see the actual size. And this was in his leg. He ended up breaking, and I know it's really hard to see, but he ended up breaking his left humerus bone, his right radial bone, his scapula, pelvis, tibia, and fibula. And I assure you, he was wearing all the authentic racing gear. He wasn't just riding around in a t-shirt and Levi's. My father was in the hospital for over 2 months. He had 5 surgeries and another 3 months of rehabilitation. But it's very important to know that this was the only thing that actually saved his life. This was his actual helmet that day. And, oh my. Sorry, just a minute. It's interesting to know that helmets are about 37% effective in preventing deaths in motorcycle accidents and 67% effective in preventing brain injuries, yet only 19 states, including the District of Columbia, force people to wear them. And I think that that's pretty scary, because it's the only thing that's the reason he's still here today. In conclusion, I'd like to say that my father was very lucky. That dreadful day 6 years ago very well could have ended his life. Most motorcyclists in similar crashes can't say the same thing. So I encourage you all to drive cautiously and take special precautions on the road for motorcyclists, and save someone else from having to hear or wish that they'd heard one last "I love you."